MER, and can anybody list for the fresh shucked oyster? What are the months that end of the year? September, October, November, and December, exactly. Now, in September, October, November, and December, up in this area, it's generally cold, right? And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the water temperature, yes, and it makes the flavor different. And a big piece is that we run into in the summer times is that when it gets warmer, especially the North Atlantic, East Coast side, from about 3 weeks from now through the end of August, they're spawning. And by spawning, I mean that they're making more oysters. When they do that, they get the liquor turns creamy, it loses some of its flavor, they're not as firm, they get a little bit softer, and things of that nature, so they don't taste as good, they kind of mellow out. So that's why a lot of people say they taste better in the months ending ER, because it's safe to say that they're not spawning at that long.
Would you say it's safe to buy oysters at like the supermarket, or probably not?
You know, I mean, it's a tough call. I'm not going to say it's not safe. I can tell you, there's this company called Legal Seafoods that provides the safest place that I know of to buy oysters, because all of ours, we have a little microbiology lab set up in our warehouse, and they all get quarantined and tested for all those nasty things like TSP, histamine levels, hepatitis, all that wonderful stuff that can happen. But at the end of the day, most of the vendors are the same. Yeah, ready to eat? You know, as long as it's just like other shellfish, as long as if you see them, they're packed in ice and they're tightly closed, you know, they're good to go. The best misnomer of it is if you open one and it smells bad, they're bad. I mean, for the most part, they're pretty safe. Through all months of the year, most supermarkets are knowledgeable enough to follow the trends. If there is a large occurrence of PSB, or which is otherwise known as red tide, most people, if it comes through, they'll pull them off the shelves until they're under quarantine, things like that. So I've had them from supermarkets before. I don't have to anymore, but I have it.
Can you show us how to shut one without going to the hospital?
That we can. Alright, so this is your basic, this is the blue point oyster. Everybody knows it's going to be, I don't have my bags in my mind. So there's two sides to an oyster. And usually one's generally flat. Sometimes it's tough to tell, and there'll be the side that the cup's on. So generally if you're going to eat them on the half shell or cook with them or do whatever, you want to get the flat part off. So you need an accoutrement tool called an oyster knife. And there's two different styles of oyster knives. Most of the commercial ones that we use are American oyster knives. Can everybody see how that's a little bit bent on the tip? I don't know if anybody in the back can see. But it bends down, which makes it kind of easier. And then there's the French version, which is just a straight blade. It's more like shucking with a pair of knives. I wouldn't suggest it if it's your first time. But there's a little gap that you can find. The bigger the oyster is, the easier it is to shuck. Generally, to get the knife in, they're a little bit firmer, but the smaller ones are harder. And basically, you want to stick the knife inside the tip, and then it's kind of like a first date. You want to just kind of talk to it. If you go right in, it's no good. But then you just twist and turn until the abductor muscle pops there. See how it pops up? And then you can take the knife at that point and slide it in a little bit deeper, and you run it on the top of the ridge and down, and then you have a perfectly shut blade. And then, did you start that one? No. And then usually the muscle is attached underneath as well, so a lot of times if you're going to serve on the half shell, you just want to run the knife underneath the abductor muscle, and then you can